Hello and welcome to the India InsurTech podcast. Today we have with us Monalisa Samal from Xceedance, and she's going to talk to us about catastrophic risk modeling in the insurance and reinsurance domain. Welcome to the show, Monalisa. We're happy to have you here. So can we start by having you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your company and your role in the company?
Thank you. My name is Monalisa, and I am from Xceedance. To introduce Xceedance, what we say is that Xceedance is a insurance company without capital. That's how we introduce ourselves, because we aim to do everything in insurance domain, starting from data till the time a claim is paid out or a renewal business is done. And regarding myself, I am responsible for the data and risk analytics division for Xceedance. Been in Xceedance for 8 years, overall 17 years of work experience, including banking and insurance.
So let's start by asking you, what's the real essence of catastrophic risk modeling? And how do you think it is important to the insurance and reinsurance companies?
Definitely. And you could see me talking very passionately about this particular domain because I've been in this for 16 years. CAT modeling is an abbreviation, as popularly known from catastrophic modeling, is you can say it's a domain which is a computer application or technology application of science, engineering, finance, and statistics into one domain to predict and manage your catastrophe risk when you write it. Very relevant for insurers and reinsurers who handle catastrophe risk. And as we know, anything which makes insolvent our industry of insurance, reinsurance is a big catastrophe. And there has been huge upsurge in the events in 2019, 2021, going up to 200 billion of losses, 800 plus events worldwide. Why it is important? It's because it makes you manage your catastrophe risk, which helps you prevent from insolvencies or prepare for risk strategies from a catastrophe management perspective, where it helps you. It helps you in pricing your risk, monitoring your aggregations, deploying your capital, reinsurance decisions, reinsurance strategies, most importantly, rating agencies as well, because you need to say that you are solvent when you are handling a catastrophe risk to the biggest rating agencies also. So that's why it's very important to manage and monitor your catastrophe risks throughout for all the insurance and reinsurers.
Well, that's a very helpful piece of information that you shared. Are you seeing any latest technology that's going to change the entire CAT modeling industry as such?
I would say yes in the longer term, lesser in the short term and medium term, and very much yes in the longer term. Why? Because the area of rating and underwriting, rating a risk has been an actuarial play, but the area of a catastrophe risk underwriting is not very much an actuarial play because there are not much of events. These are extreme events or this happens rarely, and then there's an emergence of this risk. So from that perspective, the data which is coming into and the events, the simulation processes, etc., those give a venue or what you say, as you said, an opportunity to really try the concept of machine learnings, etc., in making a catastrophe model. The existing catastrophe model, which are from the bigger players of the world, are very scientifically based. They are science, hazard, vulnerability based applications, which really tells you how is a wind field created, how would the building shake when an earthquake really comes in, or what would be the inundation when the flood moves into. So from an advancement of technology perspective, obviously it's been the world of machine learning plays a lot into newer catastrophe models. There has been a lot of InsurTechs which are making this trying out machine learning based catastrophe models. That's an interesting area to play, but how it really solves the purpose and really solves the risk, that we'll see when we adopt this. The second thing is data. So when you say exposure data, there are times when surveyors used to go to the field, study a building, and then there is a report which comes as a building underwriting report, and you study this and take out the characteristics. With the advent of remote sensing, with the advent of satellite imagery, now what happens is that there are building images and you can extract characteristics from it to change the world. So that's a very much differentiation that is right now being brought into the world of exposure data collection for CAT modeling, which would change and which would really impact the way right now the industry works, because data in CAT modeling is a very big play, and a lot of companies still do data manually or in a semi-automated way, or bigger companies kind of outsource it to India. So, but with the technology, it would obviously be a different play. Might be 2 years after this, if we are talking, we would see a lot of very different world of CAT modeling, where machines would be doing a lot of things, and might be the engineers or the finance or the statisticians would only be more looking at human judgments while underwriting, giving the underwriting suggestions.
That's really helpful, Monalisa. And that really brings me to my last question. And it's about climate change. You know, you talked a lot about climate change. So how do you think the science of climate change and catastrophic risk modeling changing for the future, especially if you can talk about the near-term future?
Sure. So before climate change actually became a topic of discussion, CAT modeling has always been a near-term versus long-term or the time dependency model. Now with climate change, as it has been talked everywhere, and global warming, the concept of socio-economic impacts, etc. What climate change really means to us is a longer-term impact, right? It's not a 2-year, 3-year impact when you talk about climate change. And when you talk about CAT modeling, it's really the prediction, or you say how much CAT losses would I expect in the next year. So that really means that the 30 years journey or 20 years impact or 10 years impact of climate change being shortened or being downscaled to a 1-year impact. How do we do it? All the modelers are right now working into how do they change the model to bring climate change into it. While it is really difficult, it's obviously possible because of various innovations or things in the industry, and it's still in a very emerging shape. So if you ask us, all the models we use right now, do they include climate change? The short answer is not all of them, but there has been a continuous effort to include climate change. As I mentioned, why it is difficult? Because of the downscaling of the nature. And also, if you talk about risks like flood or precipitation, what happens when you do a climate change impact that, okay, in this area, the precipitation is high, you always do a regional basis. Now, when you come to a particular building, it becomes very localized. And doing a local risk assessment is again very difficult for the CAT models to handle. The world of CAT model is generally about regional risks, portfolio risks, and within that, how you manage a weather at a particular location, precipitation at a particular location, or wind speed at a particular location, for example. That's really a lot of science and innovation kind of will play a lot of role to give that answer to us in the near future. But yes, in short, the climate change included in the models is the next for CAT modeling industry, because a lot of regulations, etc., are now coming up to give the results along with the climate change, and the results would vary a lot. As the research says, you can expect a 20% to 30% straight away jump in the CAT risk potential if you're including a climate change versus not including a climate change. But how it impacts at a risk level, that all of us will do when we do a single risk evaluation.
That's awesome. I must say this interaction has been really insightful for our audience. Thank you so much, Monalisa. It's been our pleasure to host you today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks a lot.